The lumps are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and it's going to be a whole total different vibration.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir tree and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no fella is come up against us.
Because the Lord is going to restore everything. You're going to have a total different vibration on the earth, a total different smell. You're not going to be walking down the street and smell shit and piss, and no foul odors or nothing like that, because the lungs of the earth are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and it's going to be a whole total different vibration. You're going to see the aura and how things are going to change and how elevated things are going to be. Our senses are going to be heightened. Everything about us is going to be glorified.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice in thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no fella is come up against us. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
All right, you got it, bro.
Use a coin.
All right. First and foremost, we would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, we're the brothers GMS Mississippi camp, and just rolling in the spirit. We discussing, the book of Second John, dealing with the elect lady, and just going through some history, going through some words, dealing with the context, in the spirit. All right, we want to expound on, all right, the elect lady, which is a letter to the hopeful elect, which is the church, and of course we know, all right, that women, all right, are going to be delivered. You have women of the elect. You're gonna have brothers in their whole houses that's going to be delivered. You're going to have women, that don't have men, all right, they're going to be paired up with men, okay, for deliverance, okay, because the kingdom of heaven is going to be on earth, in which Israel is going to be fruitful and multiply in righteousness, man. Okay, so just want to get into that, get that context. Is there anything you want to say, bro, before we get this chat?
No, Zaquan, I think you covered it, bro.
Come, bro. So what we want to do, like I said, we got a little history pulled up, dealing with, all right, John, which he's known as John the Revelator. He was one of the beloved apostles that followed Yahweh Shai. The scriptures say the one, whom Yahweh Shai beloved, the one that laid in his bosom. So he was the author, of the book of Saint John. There we read he was the author of Revelation. All right, and he was also the author of these three epistles. Okay, and we're going to get some understanding, okay, about these three epistles. They're short, but they're potent. So pull up this chat. See, make sure I get the right one. Yeah, so lucky, bro. Got a
Are
couple
you
of them
good,
pulled
bro?
up.
It's all
Maybe I
good.
get the right one. Yeah, it should be it right here. Okay, so real quick, let's go into some history. It says the epistles of John, all right, First John, Second John, and Third John, were not written to clearly name churches in the way Paul's letter were. Examples to the Church of Corinth. Instead, they were written to uh, Johannine Christian communities, which we know the Christians were Israelites and follow Yahweh. It said most likely located in Asia Minor, with Ephesus as the central hub. Here's how the letter is understood. It says First John, it says the audience, a network of churches rather than one congregation, likely Asia Minor, Western modern day Turkey, church type, early Christian, all right, or followers of Yahweh, all right, because Christian was a term put on the believers and the followers of Yahweh. They didn't put that name on themselves. Where those in Antioch, we read in the book of Acts, they was called Christians. Okay. But these was Israelite foreigners who was waking up, all right, through the teaching of his word, all right, by, the apostles and the churches that the apostles, was set up, okay, around, all right, the Roman Empire, you know. So it says, early Christian communities influenced by John's teaching addresses internal division caused by false teachers. It says combat early proto-Gnostic, okay, docetic beliefs, denying Yahweh's true humanity, reinforcing core themes, love, obedience, incarnation, and truth. First John functioned like a pastoral sermon or secular letter than a traditional epistle. Now, Second John, and this is the one that we're going to go into through the Spirit. Second John audience, the elect lady and her children. Most common interpretation: a local church personified as a lady, her children, okay, are the church members. Also likely in Asia Minor. Purpose: warn against welcoming false teachers, emphasize walking in truth and love. Some minority views interpret the elect lady as a literal woman, but the church interpretation fits the context better. And that's what we're going to, examine in the spirit, deal with the context of this letter, all right, and expound in the spirit how it's speaking of, it's a letter to the elect, it's a letter to the hopeful elect, in the church that was in a network of churches that was in Western, Western modern day Turkey, which is Asia Minor, you know. So yeah, we can get to it if you ain't had nothing to say, bro. We can get to the
Yeah,
chapter.
bro. I got a quick just going to the etymon, and when you look up that term personify, it goes into to attribute personal form or salaki to attribute personal form to objects or abstractions. It goes into also to represent
Mm-hmm.
or embody, right? So that elected lady is it embodies what? It embodies that those networks of churches around the Asia Minor, but right now it represents the elect.
Come, bro. Come. And that's tough. Um, because when you think about it, Ephesus, was like the mother church to all those other network of churches, So it said the elect lady and her children, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
Ephesus was even like their mother church, which that was a church Timothy, was headed, which Apostle Paul planted Timothy in Ephesus.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you want to get into it, bro. So this is Second John. chapter 1, verse 1. All right, it says, the elder unto the elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all they that have known the truth. And you got his point.
Right. And so, yeah, even when you think about that term, the elder, look up the elders, Aquan, in the Greek.
I got you.
And this also would give like basically, just more intel, spiritual intel, that this is not actually talking about an elected woman, but how that lady is symbolic for those network of churches. And again, in today's time frame, we can apply that to the Israel of the Most High.
Come, bro.
Strong's G 4245. Presbyteros. Presbyteros.
All right, now come on down.
All right, and that's where you get that term presbytery.
That's right.
Oh, you go down,
That's
smoke
right.
on.
Yeah, go down a little more. Now read the definition too.
Okay, it says among the Christians, those who presided over the assemblies or churches. The New Testament uses the term bishop, elders, and presbytery
Right. So you see
interchangeably.
Christians.
Read that
My
again,
bad.
bro.
I think I don't know if I'm lagging or what. I didn't hear nothing. Hold on, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
May have to get on Gizmo.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's a lot.
Yeah,
I'm lagging over here a little bit.
Yeah, it usually be a little delay, just a slight delay most of the time.
Okay. All right. All right. So again, can you read the definition, bro? Because I didn't hear nothing, bro. Salakia.
Yeah, I got you, bro. This is back in the blue letter. All right, definition 2. It says among the Christians, those who presided over the assemblies or churches. The New Testament uses the term bishop, elders, and presbyters interchangeably.
Right. And that's how we know that this is spiritual. Not an elected lady or a woman per se, but again, the lady is symbolic for those network of churches back then in the area of the Asia Minor. And also, again, we can apply that to today's time frame, the Israel of the Most High. Now, with that being said, Zaquan, is it Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 2?
6. Come, I got you, bro. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 2. It says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
As a hold on. Let me use my phone to see if that'll help this out too.
Come on, bro. What it lagged again. I know it usually a slight delay, but I guess it's freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, and I know I've been having some issues over here too from time to time. So, all right, let me get up.
All right, let me change.
Okay.
Let's see. And so, Lucky, y'all give us a second. What is how it sounded on the phone?
Okay, it's a whole lot better right now. Whole lot better, bro.
Okay, let me get rid of
I
that
think
one
we
then.
good. All right.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go back and read Jeremiah 6:2 again, bro.
Okay. Quan, did you read it?
No, I ain't ready yet. I was making sure you good.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm good, bro.
Okay, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 2. It says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
Right. So again, as we see that how the daughter of Zion is being personified as what? A woman. And it's the same thing when we go back to the book of Second
Mhm.
John, the first chapter. It's the same thing. So remember, the nation of
Come.
Israel was also likened to a beautiful woman. And what made us beautiful? Because we received the laws, statutes, and the commandments. Even when you go into Genesis, the third chapter, what the scripture speaks of how Yahweh said that he was going to put enmity between the seed of the woman and also the serpent seed. So all of this is an example of personification. And when you go into that term personification, it goes back into the origin of personify, and personify goes into a representation or an embodiment.
Come, bro. I got another quick precept for you, bro.
Go ahead, my brother.
This is 2 Corinthians 11:2. It said, For I'm jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Hamashiach.
That elected lady. That elected lady,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just going back to the topic of Zaquan's lesson, so that elected lady is really an embodiment of those network of churches located in the Asia Minor, right? And right now in today's time frame, it embodies the elect. All right, bro, it's back on you, Zaquan.
Mm-hmm. Come, bro. We can go back to that chapter in
Okay.
First John. I mean, the Second John. It's like, so let's go back to Second John. You know, and let's say when you deal with the context, you know, you can tell that it's speaking to, like, we going into the church itself. You know, and when you go into Second John 1:2, it said, For the truth's sake, which dwelleth in us and shall be with us forever, grace be with you, mercy and peace from the Most High, the Father, and from the Lord Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, the Son of the Father, in true love.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I rejoice greatly that I found of thy children walking in truth, as we have received a commandment from the Father. Did you want to expound on that, bro? Oh, you
Yeah,
cool.
Zaquan, since you said that, look up children in the Greek.
Okay. Mm-mm. All right, so you go into the word children in Greek.
Strong's G 5043. Technon. Technon.
All right. We go to the
I
Greek
jump
technon.
to
Was it a specific
right.
definition?
Yes, sir, bro. Now you're gonna see two metaphor, but the point is in C, and I'll read this for you. In the NT, pupils or disciples are called children of their teachers because the latter, by their instruction, nourish the minds of their pupils and mold their characters. So all of this is a
Mm-hmm. So
personification. Go ahead, Zaquan.
no, you got it, bro. I was
No, it's
making
on
a
you.
point.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, so the teachings of the apostles, which the apostles set up elders, in all these different churches. And these epistles was instructions in how to mold the churches, so the churches were pupils, of the teaching of the apostles, man. You got it, bro.
Mhm. That's it. That's this, Accord. And then when we jump down to definition two, and I'm gonna read this for you: children of the Most High in the OT as a spiritual in the New Testament and Paul's writings, all who are led by the Spirit of the Most High, who are Israelites, and thus closely related to the Most High. So by default, we know that the children is a representation of the elect.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Because even matter of fact, I want to go into this other the book of First John chapter 4, because it just lines up with the context of how the apostles, because even when we read that in Corinthians 11:2, that was the apostle Paul personifying the church, as a changed version. So that's the language that the
Right.
apostles used towards the churches. So when you go to First John, I want to say it's the 4th chapter. Let me see. Yep. First John 4:4. And you look at the language, it says, "You are of the Most High, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world." you know.
That's right.
So that's that
That's right.
language that the apostles, use with the church.
That's right. And again, the definition in Paul's writings, all who are led by the Spirit of the Most High and thus closely related to the Most High, Israelites.
Mm, come. So going back to Second John, read on um I say we're gonna give some more history, to further expound on the context of these letters. So you go back to Second John
Come.
1:5, it says, "And now I beseech thee, lady, not as though
I can
I
read it
wrote
for
a
you,
new."
bro. I got you.
Okay, come on. It's all.
Yeah, I
You
can read
got
it
it,
for you,
bro.
bro. Hey, this is 2 John 5. Okay. And now I beseech you, ladies, as though I remember to you had that we love one another.
Come. It was breaking
You
up a
want to
little bit,
expound? You
bro.
want me to keep going?
Now
Oh,
it had broke
Salakia,
up a
bro.
little
So let
bit,
me
bro.
read that again. How do I? Okay, how I sound
Yeah,
now?
read it. You sound better now. Read it now, bro.
Okay, so this is back into 2 John 1:5. And now I beseech you, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto you, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another.
Yeah, so this is instructions, all right, written to a church, and as we're going to go into, these letters were written, to the leaders of these churches, all right, to be read out loud to the whole church. And that's why these letters will come with instructions. It will come in instructions of, how to do tithes. It will come with instructions on how to, bring back someone that has fell out, how to deal with, foods offered to idol, you know. So these epistles are always written with instructions that was meant to be read to the whole church. So they will be written to the heads of the churches, So when you see these epistles epistles and they start giving instructions, these are instructions that was written to the heads and for the heads to distribute, to the rest of the church. So
Mm-hmm.
this is there's no way that this is being written directly, to a woman, because a woman wouldn't have authority to, all right, instruct in the churches.
That's right.
You got it, bro.
I say, bro. Also, I did look up lady and to see what is that symbolic for. So a lady can be symbolic for grace or elegant, refinement, good manners, dignity,
Yeah,
feminine,
yeah,
traditional womanhood, softness, care,
yeah.
respect, virtue, and morality. Just to give a more, some more meat for that term, lady. What that term is symbolic for.
Come on, bro.
All right.
Come
So
on.
2 John 1:6, and this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it.
Go ahead.
Verse 7, for many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Yahweh Mashiach is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist.
Yeah, so this is dealing with doctrinal issues, you
That's
know,
right.
which this will be a letter written to men, you know, is how to deal with what these doctrinal issues. That's why Apostle Paul, when he was telling Timothy, don't get entangled with vain babbling, genealogies, scribes about the law. So this is instructions dealing with the doctrine, because you had a
Hmm.
lot of people that was coming up against the doctrine of Yahushua. You had these guys that were, like you had the Gnosticism going on. You had Jake that was Judaizer trying to make the new Israelite converts keep the law. So you had a lot of anti-Messiah niggas back then. Now this whole system is anti-Messiah now on the Esau, and you still got anti-Messiah niggas like Alazar, Genesis,
Hmm.
ISUK, IUIC. They're all anti-Messiah. They will be
Hmm.
linked in with anti-Messiah. So he's warning, okay, the church, okay, about these deceivers. You got it, bro. You can say something.
No, bro, it's on you.
Come on, bro. You keep reading.
All right, so let me jump back into verse 6. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the this is the commandment, that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. Okay, verse 7, for many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Yahushua Mashiach is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. Verse
Go
8,
ahead.
look to yourselves, that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward.
Yeah, so going back into it, you know, you see that this is like an instructor talking to his pupil, you know.
Hmm.
That's the context of this letter, okay? Because the apostle wouldn't be speaking to just a particular, woman and her family concerning these heavy matters,
That's
because
right.
these were matters that men will have to deal with. So he's giving, all right, these instructions, okay, for these things to be handled amongst the churches, man, for the churches to be aware, you know,
Right.
and keep them focused on the reward. You see,
Hmm.
you got it, bro.
And even when you think about the book of Timothy, the scripture tells us, how suffer not a woman to teach
Yep,
or to usurp authority over a man. So it only makes sense that this elected lady is being personified.
come on, bro.
All right, my brother. So I'm gonna jump back into verse 9. Whoso transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Mashiach has not the Most High. He that
Yep.
abideth in the doctrine of Mashiach, he has both the Father and the Son.
Yep. And only men, were able to discern these things when it came to doctrine, you know, because the woman, that's not her office, and the woman has a beautiful office, you know, within, the
Mm-hmm.
body, and within the nation in general, and women, okay, let's say, are going to be delivered. The Lord is going to deliver, the sisters that are faithful, whole households, so women are a part of the elect, okay? But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to, all right, the affairs of the churches and putting things in order, that's the office of men, and women fall under that order of the men, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You got it, bro.
Yeah, bro. When you think about the scripture in the book of Peter, and it classifies the woman as the weaker vessel. Some of those definitions for weaker vessel is how a woman cannot have that type of authority in the church.
Come
How
on,
she
bro.
wasn't given judgment and things of that nature when you just analyze those definitions for the weaker vessel. So that proves your point further.
Come on, bro.
Um, verse, verse 10, if there come any unto you and bring not this doctrine, receive him not into your house, neither bid him the Most High speed.
And that's a cut against unity camps, you know.
That's right.
Because we're not supposed, to bid someone Godspeed that's not in the right doctrine, because that's co-signing on falsehood,
That's
and
right.
this is why we address these different camps based on the doctrine. We're not here to investigate their private life. Those things just come out. The Most High exposes those things. Okay,
Mm.
we're here to deal with sound doctrine, man, and that's why you see the Spirit of the Lord is tightening down. Okay, on doctrine, man, on camera and off camera, man. You see,
Mhm.
so just as now as you see a tightening up when it comes to the doctrine, the circle getting smaller. Well, they was dealing with the same thing back then, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
You got it, bro.
All right, bro. So back into verse 11. For he that biddeth him the Most High speed is partaker of his evil deeds.
Yeah, so if you go
Verse,
to a unity camp, well, you're partaking in evil deeds of all that false teaching. Okay, we
yeah.
can't go have camp with IUIC. That will make us partakers of their evil deeds, and there will be confusion. We can't go on a podcast, with these people in the world. That will make us partaker of their evil deeds, man. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So now, man, that's why false doctrine has to be addressed, and that's why it has to be a clear understanding when it comes to sound doctrine, man. You got it, bro.
Yeah. Verse 12. Having many things to write unto you, I would not write with paper and ink, but I trust to come unto you and speak face to face, that our joy may be full.
Yeah, so this is speaking about them coming to see a church. you know, this is them speaking about visiting a church, and that's why when you read the epistles of Apostle Paul, he will speak about wanting, and longing to see the churches face to face. You know, So the apostles, because after we're going to get into it, but after 70 AD, the apostle John, he set up shop in Asia Minor. That's why he was so familiar, with those churches. You see, because even when he was on the Isle of Patmos, he was right to those churches that he had visited face to face. You know,
Mm,
and how Shah was speaking to him to address those churches that he was already dealing with. Because remember, that was the church of Jerusalem was over with after 70 AD. They had to
that's right.
disperse. John dispersed to Asia Minor. So that's why the book of Revelation, in the first three chapters, he's speaking to the churches whom he was dealing with face to face. You know,
Hmm.
you got it, bro.
All right, sir. Into verse 13. The children of your elect sister greet you, Aman. And with that being said, Zaquan,
Yeah,
hey, look up sister in the Greek. And this is going to
con,
prove your point
con.
further.
I got a precept for you too afterward, bro.
Okay.
Yep. So this the word sister in the Greek.
Strong's G79, Adelphi. Adelphi.
Adelphi. Yep.
Go to 2.
It's,
One
yep.
connected
Okay.
by the tie of the Mashiach religion.
You know. Hey, and you forgot Esau. He used that term in business. You know, you have the term called what, a parent company. You know, or a sister
That's
company.
right.
They
Yes,
have
sir.
certain ties, certain interests. You know, they be in the same business, man. Yeah, man. So
That's it.
yeah, and then even when you go here, and this is the language how the Most High would talk to Israel. You know, so the apostles, you know, they talked in the same language to the churches, man. You know, chaste virgin, espouse, you know, the elect lady and her
Mm-hmm.
children. You know? So let's get Jeremiah. I'm gonna read Jeremiah 3 and 6, bro. So when you go to Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 6, it said, the Lord said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that which backslide Israel have done? Speaking of the northern kingdom. She is gone up on every high mountain and under every green tree, and there have played the harlot. And I said, after she had done all these things, turned down. Yeah. Yeah. It says, and I said, after she had done all these things, turned down to me, but she returned not, and her treacherous sister Judah saw it.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. So you
Yeah.
embodies what? The house of Israel and the house of Judah. Again, that's personification.
And I'm gonna get that word for you, personification, since we've been bringing it out. Let's drive home the point. This on Edom Online, personification. It says a
Okay.
figure of speech or artistic representation in which something, all right, inanimate or abstract takes the form of a person, sense of embodiment of a quality in a person, personify, you know.
Screen black.
It went black. Okay, I thought I shared it. So like, hold on. It's up there
Okay.
now.
Yeah, we can see it now, bro.
Okay, come and go back to it again. So personification, it says figure or speech or artistic representation in which something inanimate or abstract takes the form of a person. All right, from personify, embodiment of a quality in a person.
That's it. That's it.
Yep.
So again,
Yep.
Israel is likened to a comely woman. Okay, she's also the churches are likened to the elected lady or children and things of that nature. You know, so you have to have the spirit in order
Mm-hmm.
to understand it. But if you're reading it face value, you're actually think it's talking about one single elected lady. But no, that doesn't make sense when you understand the history and the context of the scriptures.
Come. Because doesn't even the scripture refer to Israel as the daughter of Zion?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The personification, you know, and it's all through the scripture. In Psalms 9 and 14, it said that I may show forth all thy praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I will
Right.
rejoice in thy salvation.
And when you think about daughter, it's actually talking about what the entire nation, right? How do you know? Because it says daughter instead of daughters. Just like when you go into Lamentations, the 4th chapter, it talks about how the daughter of Edom shall receive that cup too. Talk about the entire nation
Yep.
of Edom. So Edom, that's
Come,
again, that is an example of personification.
come, bro. I got one more just to give an example. Then we'll get this history, bro. Isaiah
God.
52:2. It says, "Shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O
Mhm.
captive daughter of Zion."
O captive daughter of Zion. So basically, we are yet this day in our captivity, but at the same time frame, the Most High is only dealing with the elect. But going back to the point, daughter of Zion. So Israel is being personified.
Come, come, bro. And I got this chat pulled up, just to tap on a little bit of history before we close out. So it said
Okay.
below are both explanations you asked for how the Johannine churches relate to the 7 churches of Revelation. All right, and the second, the false teachings John was confronting. All right, laid out clearly. It said relation to the 7 churches of Revelation. It said the epistles of John and Revelation are traditionally linked to John the Apostle and the same regional church network in Asia Minor. Geographic overlap. The 7 churches in Revelation 2 through 3 were all located in Western Asia Minor: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamon, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. It says Ephesus is widely considered John's base of ministry after Jerusalem fall in AD 70. So he was actually amongst these churches after 70 AD. So he spent a lot of time face to face with these churches. So it says the Johannine churches, the recipients of John 1 through 3, likely included house churches connected to or influenced by the Ephesian church. These congregations may include some of the same churches later addressed in Revelation or closely related ones. So you
Wow.
jump down, it says key insight. First John emphasizes eternal doctrinal crisis. Revelation uh, emphasizes external pressure and persecution. Together, they show the church fighting on 2 fronts: false teaching within and hostility from without. And I
Mm.
want to go here. And got one last one. And I said, and this all just shows,
Yeah.
the history that was happening back then. So when you go into the New Testament, these epistles in general. So I asked the chat, was these letters written to men leaders of the church? It says yes. Many New Testament epistles were written to men who were leaders, heads of churches, but they were usually intended to be read by the whole congregation, not just the leader alone. Here's a clear breakdown. Epistles addressed to individual male church leaders. Several leaders are explicitly written to men. Letters are explicitly written to men who had pastoral or apostolic authority over local churches.
Azaquan.
Pastoral. Oh, it's like you got, bro.
Hey, if I could just back you back up, and that's why 2nd John 1:1 starts off like this: the elder unto the elect lay and children.
Yep, yep. And it's gonna expound on it too, bro. So you take all that context and with the history, it paints a clear picture through the spirit. So it says pastoral epistles. These are the clearest example. First Timothy written to Timothy, Paul's delegate overseeing the church in Ephesus. It's all tied together. And this a cut to you niggas that have something to say about the Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul was heavy in the spirit, man. You know, Apostle Paul was heavy in the spirit. He was a facilitator of a lot of edification and establishing a lot of churches, man. Yahweh Shai used the Apostle Paul for a mighty work, man. You know, And you read Galatians, he had the right. Was it him and Barnabas that got the right hand of fellowship in Galatians? You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. So why didn't they correct Apostle Paul then when they gave him the right hand of fellowship and he was tripping? You know, yeah. So it says, Second Timothy written to Timothy as a chief teacher and organizer. Titus written to Titus, who was appointing elders in Crete. These men function as overseers, teachers, appointers of elders, correctors of error. And Second John, wasn't he speaking about a correction of error with false
Yes, sir.
prophets and false doctrine and not bidding these men Godspeed? Don't unite with these niggas, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was the role of men. It says, uh, so it says epistles written to churches, but assume male leadership. It says many letters are addressed to entire churches, yet assume a structure where male, all right, elders, bishops lead. It says Romans to all in Rome, First and Second Corinthians to the church of the Most High in Corinth, Galatians, Ephesus, Philippians, Colossians, First and Second Thessalonians. These letters address elders, overseers, deacons, assume male household leadership, husbands, fathers. Use male pronoun when speaking of overseer, husband of one wife. Leadership is not always named, but is clearly opposed. All right, you see, presupposed. I mean, so it
Presuppose,
was
yeah.
understood that these letters, yeah, they was written to male leadership in the church, you know, and their leadership, all right, would read that letter to the church, you know, amongst the heads, and then the heads would teach, based off their letter. That's why you had doctrine, you had breakdowns in those letters, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it says letters to individuals who were not pastors but influential men. Some epistles are addressed to men who were heads of household or patron whose homes, all right, hosted churches. Philemon addressed to a man whose house contained a church. All right. Now, this where it doesn't make sense when we go to Second and Third John. It says addressed to individuals, the elect lady. All right, in John 2, and it says it's debated about it being written to an actual lady, and we just and when you put all this together, it makes sense that was written to a church, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, that's the sum of it on my end, bro. You had anything else, bro?
Now, as a coin, I think that history just it really put the nail in the head. You know what I'm saying? I think we're good, bro.
Yep, come on, bro. Oh, matter of fact, we can end on this, bro. Let's get that in Revelation 9 and 9 and so that's 7.
You said Revelation 9 and 7.
Come on, bro. Oh, it's like a Revelation 19 and 7. I'm tripping. It's like they trying to go to war that man.
Oh man. Yeah, I was gonna wait till you got there. I was like, whoa, shit. All right, brother. This is this is Revelation 19 and verse 7 is and it reads, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper
Verse,
of the
verse 7, bro.
tripping. Hold on, bro.
Verse 7, bro.
All right.
So like,
No, you're good. You're good. Hey, so this is Revelation chapter 19, verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife, he has made herself ready.
Yeah, you can read 8 too. Yep. I'll read
All
8
right.
and 9.
Okay. Verse 8. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. Personification.
Go ahead.
Verse 9.
Yep.
And he said unto me, right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said unto me, these are the true sayings of the Most High.
Yep. And this is us, the church, being brought up to those chambers, you know, and that's when that marriage is going to be consummated and with the laws going into us, you know. So this marriage supper of the Lamb, the wife is making herself ready. That's the church, you know, that's making herself ready for the return of the groom, which is Yahushua, you know, and the fine linen that we're dressed in, that's going to be the righteousness of the saints, you know, as we're changed and perfected, you see. And this is going to be that joining together, all right, that new covenant, all right, that new marriage agreement, okay, between Yahweh Bashim Al Shah and his people, okay, and women are included in that, okay, but the totality of it is speaking of the church itself, beginning with the male leadership of these churches, man, which are likened unto pupils to the teachings of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah.
Hey, that's it, bro. And remember, hey, it was a point you had harped on too when we was on the phone when you said when a woman was addressed, it was her actual name. If you want to explain or expound on that too, Zaquan.
Yeah. So when you go into, you know, the letters and mainly the letters of Apostle Paul, you know, he would call out the women, you know, by their name, you know, for their help in the ministry, you know. So the women, you know, that were a help, you know, you sisters that are helps, you know, keep doing what you're doing, much appreciated, you know, you're gonna be rewarded, you know. So the Apostle Paul, certain women that helped the church, you know, he would call them out by name, you know, for their help and for their aid. And you know, you had some even women that had money and had, because in Rome, women, you know, they can have property and they would house certain you know, teachers as they was moving around. So the women helped, you know, and they was reverence, you know, in these letters, you know, with just dealing with this specific, you know, chapter in the book of Second John, you know, it's dealing with the church as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, bro, I'm good on my end. Uh,
Bro, you can take us home, huh?
Come well with that, you know, we pray, all right, that you brothers, all right, and you sisters edify once again. Want to give all praise and the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders, the GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his young brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the whole elect. Shalom.
Hey, Shalom.